in the tempo. So the tempo is set by us as we the people. We the people decide, not our government. That's where things got twisted. And by you all coming out here today and exercising your First Amendment, it's like a muscle. You're exercising it. The more you do it, the stronger you get. Same with our Second Amendment. So with no further ado, actually I'm going to call Nikki Stalled from the Pink Pistols. Can I get a round of applause? Woo! Woo!
How's everybody doing today?
Great! Woo!
Okay, for those, first of all, how many of you have heard of Pink Pistols? Okay, great, that rocks. Okay, for those of you who haven't heard of us, we are an LGBTQ self-defense group. Our motto is armed gays don't get bashed. Now, why am I here? Be in front of a group of predominantly conservatives, Republicans, and everything, because regardless of our differences, what unites us is we all support our human right of self-defense. Agreed?
Yes. Hell yeah.
And the Second Amendment is more than just our personal right of self-defense. It is our mandatory constitutional duty to protect our free republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, yeah, maybe like right behind me, there might be some DEs back here. What do you think? Domestic enemies behind me?
Can't edit it if you go live. That's
okay. Now, let me ask this. How many of you in here support the Declaration of Independence? The spirit, say yay.
Absolutely.
And how many of you support that Constitution?
Woo!
And how about that Bill of Rights?
Hell yeah.
Okay, now, regardless of whether you're black, white, gay, straight, purple, or whatever, if you support those values, your blood is red, white, and blue. Agreed?
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, now you are at the forefront. You are the fighters for our liberty. So what I'd like everybody to do is just kind of turn around, high five every person around you. Because you took the time to be out here. This is your rally. So give yourselves a high five and go, yeah!
We're here. Yep.
Now some people say, I want to leave California because it's too tough. Well, you know what? We can't leave California, but these guys are going to follow. So I say we draw a line in the sand here.
No more.
Okay, we are privileged for being on the front lines for liberty. We are the descendants of those brave patriots at Lexington and Concord, who on April 19th will be celebrating, I don't know, anybody good at math, but April 19th, 1775 is when the first shots of the American Revolution were started.
Now let's hope we don't need for number 2.
243 years ago, this upcoming Thursday, we're going to be celebrating the birth of our nation. And no one knows who fired the first shots that day, but the bottom line, King George didn't get the message that on July 4th, 1776, a big message got sent to him. And then at the Battle of Yorktown, Cornwallis left the United States after, I guess, the Swamp Fox and others surrounded him and kicked his butt, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Now, we have to take a look, okay? We got some very serious problems here we have to deal with. First of all, the legislature behind us will pass gun laws. Now, I know the NRA, I know the guys at the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Rights of California, FPC, lots of good guys. They're playing defense, they're doing their best. But the bottom line, this legislature passes laws. Okay, they can't stop them. Laws will get to Governor Brown's desk. And believe it or not, Jerry Brown has been a moderating force. The next governor that we're going to get, I don't know which one it'll be, most likely a Democrat, but they will sign every bill these guys send to them. And if it's Gavin Newsom, not only will he sign every law, he will go and say, hey, I want more. So things are bleak. Would you guys agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we are standing and we are facing firearms confiscation. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. We are facing the end of California gun rights if we let it. Are we going to let it?
Hell no.
Okay. Now, many of you and many gun owners are asleep. They believe that the Supreme Court says we have a Second Amendment right. We got the Heller case, right? Have you guys heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Supreme Court said
They just keep ignoring it.
we have an individual right to keep and bear arms. Said in 2010 in the McDonald case that the Second Amendment is incorporated on all 50 states, and California is still part of the United States via the 14th Amendment. So that should have been a done deal in 2010, right? Okay, but what's been happening is the lower courts have been upholding every gun law pretty much that comes to them. So the Supreme Court has refused to take any more Second Amendment cases since 2010. So what we have on the federal level in the courts is we have the illusion now we have a Second Amendment right. Okay? Do you guys understand that? Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Our Congress and Senate, we got gridlock. Now the polls are showing that the Democrats may get one or both houses. If they get one house, all federal pro-gun legislation is dead. If they get control of the Senate, Trump will not be able to nominate any pro-gun justices. So our situation is bleak. Okay? Now, I'm not here to give you guys a downer, because I'm going to give you something positive. I need to lay the groundwork where we're at. Now, how did we get into this mess? Okay? Truth, California culture change. How many of you guys were here in the 80s and further back? Okay, when I came to California in '86, I'd say California was moderately pro-gun. But the culture has changed over the last 30 years. Many of the people who came to California immigrated to the United States. They came from countries with no gun culture. The only people who had guns were cops and criminals. Okay, most of them settled in a place like Los Angeles, San Francisco. Where do they get their impression of us? From Hollywood, from the news. Do you think they get a good impression of us?
No.
No. So what has happened is California culture has changed. It's hostile. We found out with Proposition 63 when 2/3 of the people actually voted for that thing that Gavin put on their ballot. So we have work to do. Now, here's how many of you guys know about the Veto Gun Megaton Project? Okay, some of you. Now, what happened is back in 2016, a handful of us tried to block laws. And even though the Veto Gun Megaton Project did not succeed, out of 1,500 of us in the state stepping up, we got 100,000 plus signatures on every referendum. We had 7 of them. 1,500 out of 8.8 to 10 million gun owners. We did not lose. We forfeited the fight. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let's take a look at what we have. We have 8 to 10 million gun owners. We probably got about 1 million people who own so-called black rifles. We have 100,000 plus people who got concealed carry permits. We have 60% of all new firearms sold in California were to new-time buyers. So, do we potentially have the force of people to step up and get involved?
Hell yeah.
Yes, we have the resources. The question is, do we got the will? If we lose our Second Amendment right, it's not going to be because these guys took it from us. It's because we forfeited the fight. Now, I got my foot in many different camps, but what we have to do is take a look at what works. Now, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. What we just need to do is take a look at other groups and see what they did and adopt their strategies and their tactics. That sound fair to you? Yeah. Okay, now, regardless of where you sit on gay rights, it's not the issue. But would you agree that they've been very effective politically in this state?
Absolutely.
So what if we took their tactics and applied it to gun rights?
Why not?
Okay, so some differences between the gay community and the gun community. In the gun community, less than half of us are registered to vote. In the gay community, it's close to 100%. Out of the half that are registered to vote, maybe half of our gun owners vote. In gays, it's close to 80%. Involvement in gun organizations. Less than 10% of gun owners are a member of any gun organization. When it comes to gays, it's close to 30 to 50%. The bottom line is they are active. When When Prop 63 passed, how many of you got notices from your local gun club that we're going to have a meeting and stuff and see what we could do about it? Crickets, right? Okay, I was in San Jose, and I got an email on a Friday night, okay, from a gay center saying Prop 8 passed. There was going to be a meeting on Sunday morning. So I expected, okay, I'll go down and check this out. I figured that maybe about 20, 30 people would show up. 300 people showed up. And up in San Francisco, they took to the streets. Now, regardless of where you stood on Prop 8, what they said is, oh my God, we got hit. We got to regroup. What do we do? And they went on offense. And that's what I want to talk to you about, is offense versus defense. Okay, defense sucks when you're playing defense. It's like being in a fight and someone's always punching you and you're never punching back. Does that sound like winning strategy to you?
No.
Okay, now in offense, on the other hand, you beat the other person up till you're tired. Then you go and take a nap, have your latte, get yourself, all refreshed, and then you go back and you kick again. You like that better?
Hell yeah.
Okay, politics is war, and that's what we're at. These guys have declared war on us, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, how do we win war? Well, what we do is we put these guys on defense, and then we eliminate their ability to go on offense to us, and then we eliminate their defenses, and we go to scorched earth to enforce unconditional surrender on our terms.
Hell yeah.
So how do we do that in California? Okay, it's up to each of us. Okay, now we have a thing in our California Constitution called a referendum. How many of you saw the movie Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope? Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the rebels were totally hopeless, okay? But they found a flaw in the Death Star. And they lobbed this photo laser torpedo into it and blew the whole thing to Kingdom Comes, right? Yeah. Well, the referendum is our Death Star killer. Okay, to qualify a referendum, we need 366,000 valid signatures. Let's see, we got 8 to 10 million gun owners. We need 1 in 10 gun owners to sign a referendum. Does that sound impossible?
No, hell no.
If 1 in 100 gun owners would get involved, okay? 1 in 100. Okay, commit about 2 to 3 hours for every referendum. We draw up, we win. We have the resources, we have the time. The question is if we got a will. If we apply the resources we have, the time, we win. We cannot fail. Agreed?
Yeah. Agreed.
Now, if we fail, it's not we don't fail, we forfeit. We forfeit to apathy. And anybody who says that they support the Second Amendment and refuse to get involved, as far as I'm concerned, they forfeit not only their right to keep and bear arms, but they forfeit their right to be an American. Okay, we don't have time for the apathy. You're on this one because it's more than just our guns. If we lose our gun rights, then we lose our ability to control our government. And our government, right now, would you agree that we live under what I call soft tyranny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, you go into hard tyranny when you lose the ability to remove your government by force. And that's what this is about. Okay? Now, I'm going to give a chance for other speakers. Now, I've got clipboards over there, and I want to get this process started. All I need from you is, I need your name, a good phone number, time, and email. And I will follow up. I'm going to run this bootstrap. But over the next 2 to 3 months, I want to build a crew up here in the Central Valley, northern thing, so we can have 15 to 25,000 people. Then when these people come and if the governor signs laws, I want us to hit a referendum on every one of them. But we need to have people in place ready to go. Are you with me?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. The gentlemen over at the 3 presenters have graciously said they'd step up and they just help with, I've got the things. Before you leave today, I need that information. Thank you for giving me the honor of speaking to all of you, and just have a great, lovely day.
Woo!
Thank you so much for keeping that tempo going. And we got a surprise. I'll let you guys know. Sometimes surprises come in great ways, and other times you get surprised and you go, whoa. Well, this isn't a whoa, because we're here to talk about hope, change, and how those things can happen. So, with no further ado, I'm going to let you know that there are 2 Pro 2A candidates for governor, and you do not have to fall for that two-party divide. So with no further ado, Nicholas Wildstar from the Libertarian candidate for California governor. Please come to the pit. Get him fired.
How's everyone doing here today? It's a beautiful day. Let me hear you say power to the people. Say power to the people. Come on, power to the people. Say power to the people. That's right. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is what America looks like right here. Everybody coming together to stand up what America truly stands for, and that's the rights for every individual. And right now, we do have a war on our freedom, and it's being taken up in Washington against here on the very, very people that reside here in this state. So we all need to stick together. We all need to stand up and fight for our rights right now before we lose them all, okay? Right now, we have our Second Amendment right being under threat, and a great man said that if our Second Amendment right is ever has the chance to be taken away, all of our rights have a chance to be taken away. That great man name is Thomas Jefferson, one of our nation's founders. And with the Jefferson State people here, I'm pretty sure you can understand why Jefferson was one of the founding fathers that stood for our freedom and our individual liberties, and that's exactly what we need to stand here for today. Our state officials are not respecting the Constitution, and they do need to be held accountable, which is why I'm running for governor of California, because we need to get a representative of the people, for the people, by the people into office, and it will stand up for the everyday average American, the hard workers of this state, the people that are making sure that we, the people, stay protected. Our troops are overseas right now. They're spread about the world. They're not here protecting our borders where they need to be. The reason why we're not being invaded by people from another country is because every person in this country has the right to bear arms and protect themselves and their fellow countrymen. We need to make sure that right stays protected, and it stays in place, and it stays respected by our representatives. These are supposed to be representatives of us. Are they?
Hell no.
So what do we have to do? We got to vote them out, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, that's the only way that we're able to do it. And Republican or Democrat, they're not standing up for us. We all know that they're corporate sponsored, they're bought out and paid for by big banks, big businesses, and they don't care about us, the little people. Okay? And we're the ones keeping this state running. So what we need to do is fight the two-party system, say no to any candidate that's going to take money from any special interest group, and start supporting those candidates that do represent us. The candidates in the debates right now, they had to have $100,000 in campaign funds just to be presented on stage. I don't have that kind of money. How many of you have $100,000 just to throw away?
Oh, hell no.
You see? But yet they're claiming to be representatives of us. They're not, okay? And one way or another, they are bound to compromise our rights, and I would like to stand firm on protecting our rights and make sure that every American here in the state of California is protected. And I would love to have an opportunity to represent we the people, which is why I'm asking you for your vote. It's imperative that we do vote on June 5th. The reason being is because we have a two-party primary system, which means the top two candidates that gets the majority of the votes in June, regardless of party, will be the only two that we all get to choose from in November. So it's a great possibility that we can get stuck with two Democrats in June that will be the only two that we all get to choose from in November. That's a robbery of our democratic right to be able to vote and choose between two opposing views. We shouldn't be forced to choose between Democrat A and Democrat B, okay? And I would love for you again to get behind the Libertarian Party. We stand for freedom. Freedom for all. No compromise. And that's exactly what I stand for. The fine line in the sand is we'll be making sure that every state official upholds the United States Constitution. There will be no infringement of that. There will be no compromise of that. And I will make sure as governor that every state official upholds the Constitution and will protect you as an individual. Thank you for your time. Please visit my website, wildstar2018.com. I do have business cards, t-shirts, and my campaign right now is being 100% crowdfunded. So that means I get all of my money to get stuff like this, materials like this, and from people like you. So anything that you can do to contribute to help in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just taking flyers and helping me spread the word, I would greatly appreciate that. And I thank you all for being here to stand up for all of our rights to protect ourselves. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're on to our second governor candidate that is outside of this damn two-party system that we're locked into. So I'm going to introduce at this time Chris Carlson. He is the Green candidate and he is pro 2A. What are we here for? Our First Amendment, our Second Amendment. One defends the other.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris Carlson. Thank you to Nicholas Wildstar. Give him a round of applause.
Yeah.
I just want you all to know that I am personally contributing $40 to Nicholas Wildstar's campaign and entirely self-financed. It was about the price of a used car to run for governor, so I said, why not? I'm reaching out to the side of people here who might be Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt people, John Muir people, State Park people, and also preppers. I happen to have this really weird belief, and you'll see in my candidate statement, that we are on a giant rock floating in space surrounded by other rocks that could hit our planet. Just a weird idea. And if any of those rocks hit our planet and the bread fails and we go into another dark ages, then I would say that shit has officially hit the fan, no? Yeah. Okay, so that brought me into the prepper community. And I have to keep the Green Party accountable for a lot of things. We got a lot of people running around with a lot of different conspiracy theories. We got to keep that in check, but you know, everyone's got their right to believe what they believe. I don't want the prepper community to shrink and become further more of a minority, because the ability to be self-sustaining and to take care of not only yourself but your family and your community is so important. And gun ownership is a foundational aspect of the prepper community, because when shit hits the fan, it's every man for himself, every man or woman or whoever, however you identify. In that, I would just request that, as someone who thinks that the Second Amendment was one of the best ideas and is what keeps our country strong and safe, that when I look about this community, I don't agree with the impression that other people have that this is a racially isolated group. And I still see a lot of pink skin, like mine. And I think that if this movement is to be successful in a majority-rule democracy, then we need to really make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable to recruit and welcome new people into our community so that we can build the numbers and strength to protect our Second Amendment and all of our other rights. And part of that to me is understanding that the people who are shooting other people are breaking a golden rule of firearms, which is never aim a loaded weapon at anything you don't intend to fully destroy. Those people I don't see as responsible gun owners. I don't see them as part of the Second Amendment crowd necessarily. I see them as people who need help. And the more that those incidents happen, the more unpopular guns become. I just want you to know that Nick and I, libertarians, Greens, we see politics differently. You know, anywhere that there's a gridlock, we don't see that as a political issue. We want to work on our common ground. And one of the things that Nick and I have as common ground is the right to self-defense and the Second Amendment. If I want drones that shoot fire and acid, I should have drones that shoot fire and acid. And I should be able to shoot drones out of the sky over my house if I'd like to.
Hell yeah.
Provided that they're not holding people in them, but that too. Thank you all very much for your time. If you are someone who happens to care extremely about conservation or natural resources, please check out the Green Party. I don't believe that there's anything that really conflicts with either major party platform if you want to take a vacation for a year and help us stay alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So again, we're here to get our liberty on? Yeah. All right. And in order to do that, we have to exercise our rights. We've already talked about that. So I had Roxy Rice come up to me. Where is she standing right now? All right, she's going to come up and speak to you on how we can continue to exercise these rights. Just for a brief moment, we're going to turn the podium over to her. She's here to talk about the mother of all rallies. Hi there. This is my daughter, right there. She was asked recently to take part in a national school walkout anti-gun rally at her school.
Ooh.
That's right. And she came to me the night before and she said, Mom, I don't know what to do because they're telling us if we don't want to go to that rally, we got to segregate ourselves and go somewhere separate. And one of the kids came up to me and said, well, if I go somewhere separate, I must be in favor of school shootings. So already there was a lot of bullying going on. And I told her, you know what we're going to do? You're going to stay home and you're not going to give California 1 red cent today.
Yeah. There we go.
So we stayed home and we talked about the Constitution. And we talked about things that make us free. And we talked about how important it is, the next generation. I somehow got involved from California on Mother of All rallies. September 8th on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The Patriots are coming together to preserve, protect, and celebrate American culture. We've had enough. So I have flyers for the Mother of All rallies. We are grassroots movement, but we have both people who are super charged about issues. We have experts on rally topics, and we have some big names coming. But for the most part, we have no budget, and we're killing it. Because people are coming out and making a difference. So some of our rally topics, for instance, we're going to start off the day with waving our flags, talking about our beloved veterans, our military, and our first responders. After that, we're getting down to business. Yeah, you can clap for the military, the veterans, and first responders. Absolutely, we love those people. And then we're going to go into kind of a problem solution. We're going to talk about our constitutional infringements, 1A and 2A, and the attack on those specific parts of our Constitution. We have a rally topic on deep state and also about illegal aliens. In the illegal alien piece, Agnes Gibbony, who is a Californian, is coming to speak. She is a legal immigrant whose son was killed by an illegal alien. And she wants to tell us her story, and it's an important story. And she is boots on the ground in California doing her part for these little tiny cities that are standing up against SB 54, Jerry Brown, and the support of illegal aliens here in California. Whoops. We're also, then we go into our call to action topics. We're going to talk about how important this vote is. This vote coming up could be the most important vote in June and in November that we have ever faced as conservatives. And a previous speaker talked about that. We're going to talk about voter fraud.
and the subversion and what's been going on with voter fraud. Oh my gosh, let's give everybody driver's licenses. And hey, I got a good idea. Now we're gonna register them to vote while they're getting their driver's license. Are you kidding me?
Hell no.
That is not okay. We need to get pissed off about that, you guys. And if you're not standing up now, when are you gonna stand up? After your rights are gone? Now is the time. That's why you're here today, because we are the people who care about this. So come on out to DC and care about it with me and a whole lot of other Americans on September 8th. We have a youth activism piece because that is an important part of tomorrow. Kids like this one need to know that they're empowered, and that unlike her AP history class that says all conservatives go to the corner, you know what they did? They put a Trump train in the corner, and then they decorated all their cars to say build a wall and other Trumpisms, MAGA. So that's what the conservative kids did, but they were told to go in the corner in her AP history class. That's not okay.
Hell no.
So the youth activism piece, we're gonna get some people from some high-level national youth organizations to come out and support that piece as well. We also have the Stop the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. If you don't know about that, look it up when you get home. It's an end game, an end run by the liberals to take away the Electoral College. And then finally, to support the Convention of States.
Yeah.
So it's a big day. Madison Rising, the band, if you haven't heard of them, they're awesome. We have a ton of entertainment, a lot of social media personalities. It's gonna be a great day. So please join us. I will have these flyers. Love for you to take one. September 8th on the National Mall in Washington, DC. Thank you all.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of the amazing people that are showing up and standing up. Look at this. Turn around and look at how many people are out here today exercising their First Amendment right to keep our Second Amendment right. Now, we've talked about what the problems are in the state of California. These people, these asses in this house behind me, do not listen to you. Well, they're going to hear it today, aren't they? Now, we've got some other easy answers, but they're not so easy. We've got some people working their butts off for your answers. Let's stand together. Let's hear them out. At this time, I would like to call Greg Walsh from the state of Jefferson to the stand.
Who are you guys recording for? I'm just Facebook.
I didn't hear the introduction, but my name is Greg Walsh, and my job here was to bring the speakers, the sound system. Not the speakers, but the sound system. And then she said, no, you're talking. And so I said, good, I don't have anything written down. But you guys, I'm here for the same reason you guys are, and basically that's for liberty. And liberty is not a word to me, liberty is a way of life.
Absolutely.
And in regard to the Second Amendment, here's the rule book by which these clowns behind us are supposed to be adhering to. And you know, the Second Amendment, I love it. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What more is there to say? These guys are crooks. These guys are lunatics behind us. To infringe on our right to carry arms is against the Constitution. And then you get Xavier Becerra stating that when he took his oath of office, he swore in the Bible to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in the same breath he said he was going to fight the President of the United States. You guys, at that point in time, he ceased being a public servant to us, we the people. I don't know what he's still doing, taking a paycheck from us, because he's not representing we the people. And then you get old Moonbeam, you know, he's I call him Global Jerry now. You know, he's flying around the country trying to strike up international deals. he calls, what's he call it now? Global warming, climate change, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2040. It's all these different names they've got for this tyrannical globalist movement. He's a globalist, you guys. He's not the governor of the state of California. He thinks he's the dictator of the world. He's also a lunatic. You know, united we stand, divided they fall. You know, like what Edmund Duncan once said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. You guys are here for a reason. You guys are here to stand up for your Second Amendment, but we're also here to stand up for liberty. And as has been said, I agree with a whole lot I've heard so far today. And but the bottom line is I'm not running for anything, and I'm not running from anything. These people can kiss. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know, we have no representation. Yeah, the First Amendment's kind of good. I love the freedom of speech, and I use it obviously. And but you know, it's time that we get together in regard to all these solutions for how we're going to fix California. It's unfixable. California cannot be fixed, and our founding fathers knew 240-something years ago, when they wrote Article 4, Section 3 of our Constitution, that there'd become a time in the history of states, in the United States, when they'd become too populist to be governed by one government. Now, you guys, in regard to California, I don't know if you're familiar with the history of the state of California, when it was stolen from the Mexicans or the Indians, depending on who you talk to or whatever, David. You'll hear from David here soon. He's my new amigo. But anyway, in 1849, when the state was created, when we got our Enabling Act, they knew at that point in time the state was too big to be governed by one government. That was 150 years ago or something, whoever's doing the math on this deal. But a long time ago, they knew that, and so they're in the process of dividing the state at that point in time into 3 different states, you guys. Now, you need to understand a little history of this, and then you'll understand what the problem is. So, consequently, they knew it was too big at that point in time when we had 400,000 people in the state of California, and now we got 40 million people in the state of California. It's too big to be governed by back then by one government, and so consequently they were starting to split the state, and then the Revolutionary War the Civil War broke out, and they said, well, we'll get the Civil War taken care of, we'll come back and we'll finish this job. You guys, it's up to us to finish the job, because once we get a government small enough to where we can actually talk to these people they call representatives, we can once again be self-governed, where we're governed from the bottom up. And I won't even get into Common Core. I got a friend that likes Common Core. I'm dead against it. You know, like Ronald Reagan said, government is not the solution to the problem.
It's the problem.
Amen. Government is the problem. And Common Core, our kids should not be regulated and indoctrinated by a global entity called Common Core. And you know, I know enough about Common Core. I won't get into it, but I don't like that. Government's got to stay out of our lives. It's got to get back to a bottom-up government. That's what self-governed is. We are to govern ourselves. Somebody asked me earlier, "Oh, are you a representative for the state of Jefferson?" I said, "No, I'm just an advocate. We have no representatives. It's about we the people." And these guys aren't representing us. I mean, in regard to gun laws and stuff, I mean, yeah, I don't have to talk to you guys. You guys can talk more about those than I can. We had Sam Paredes came and talked at a Jefferson meeting up in Auburn this last month. Great guy, the CEO of, or executive of the California Gun Owners Association. Talked for a half hour, 45 minutes about gun rights and everything else in California, of which you guys already know all about. We don't need to reiterate that. But the bottom line is it's what's happening with our rights. I mean, you look at it right now, and I call it the last straw bill. They've got a bill right now, and if this gets completed and consummated, where they can take away our plastic straws, these clowns can take away our plastic straws. If they get away with this, you guys, what is sacred? There is nothing left they can't take. I mean, give me a break. They're trying to get our guns and our straws. You guys, you got to stand up. And the bottom line is, like I say, we need a state split. And our founding fathers, like I said, we've got 23 counties. We've got tens of thousands of signatures of people that want this state split. We took it to these clowns behind us 3 years ago. I went to 16 different offices along with another gentleman. We said, you guys, we've got all these declarations, and we want you guys to put on the floor that we want a state split in the state of California. We want the Assembly to put on the floor and approve a state split so we can take it to the federal government and get Congress to approve this also. And at that point in time, our enabling act would start, meaning that they would approve our state split, and we would put together our government for the 21 counties at the time. Now it's 23. So that's the process the state split's all about. In all those counties, you guys, they're liberty-minded people. Let's put it that way. And in regard, I was just talking to a gentleman from Richmond. I'm going, whoa, you're a conservative? And he said, yes, I am. And to give you an idea of the conservatives, I got a lot of conservative friends. And I got a whole lot of liberal friends too. My family, they're all liberals, and they're in the Bay Area. And I'm here to tell you, my brother called for my birthday a year ago. And he said, Greg, he's from Marin. And he's a real estate broker and a CPA. He's got a degree out of Berkeley. He's got all kinds of education. He's intelligent as can be. But he said, Greg, we're not going to talk politics. And I said, of course we're not, Jim. I said, liberals don't make cities. Cities make liberals. And he had to think about that for a while. There was a silence on the phone. And after a minute, he came back and he goes, there's something to that, isn't there? And I said, think about it, Jim. Meanwhile, how are the kids? He called for my birthday again about 3 weeks ago. I get older every year. God, it's amazing. But anyway, here we are. And he called, and I see his phone, his name on the phone, and I just picked up the phone and I said, liberals don't make cities, Jim. And he sings me a song, because he's a musician too. And so he's singing me a song, and he's singing about secession. He goes, oh yeah, for my birthday I want secession for this to do it. And he went on with his birthday song, did a very nice job of it. He's very, very intelligent. But he believes stuff that's not true. That's the key with those people. They're believing things that aren't true. And so here we are. And after he got done, I said, Jim, thanks for the song. I said, but you mentioned secession. And he goes, well, that's what you want, isn't it? And I said, no, Jim, we want liberty. We're not seceding from the Union. This is the United States, not the divided states. I'm sick and tired of this division crap. So, he didn't really want to talk about it. But then I said, Jim, I said, this is about liberty. What I stand for is liberty. And I said, what's your definition of liberty? This is a guy with a degree. This is a genius in his own mind. This is a liberal in the middle of libtard city. And he doesn't know what liberty is. It stumped him. And you guys, when we ask these people that don't understand these things, these questions, a lot of times they'll just back up or they'll get angry. And they'll want to fight about something that they can't fight about because they have no justification for their liberal thinking, which is really too bad. But we got liberal friends all over. But nevertheless, what we need right now is a state split. We're going to start over. And there's so many young people I'd love to see the governor of Jefferson. But we'll get back to a liberty form of government again. And right now, like I say, these guys behind us, God, I don't know. I just, like I say, there's no hope for changing these people. The only thing we can do is divide the state into whatever. I'd like to do the state of Jefferson state split. And once we do, can you imagine when our families have liberty again, freedom, when our children can actually go bake cupcakes with mom without a health certificate, a business license, and a tax ID number, and then go sell cupcakes on the corner again? What's happened to our freedom, you guys? We got to get back. This is about our families. This is about the future for them. And young people, I'll close with this. Young people at the, we've done a State of Jefferson booth at the Constitution Day at Sierra College for 4 years. And every year we do this, more kids come up to us and go, hey, what's this all about? They're starting to catch on. But they always want to know, what's the government going to look like? And you guys, what our government's going to look like in Jefferson, I tell them, it's just like your computer. When it fails you, you go to your accessories, you go to your system tools, and you go to a restore point, and you restore it to a point in the past when it worked. We're not reinventing anything. We're getting rid of this nonsense, this lunacy behind us, and we're getting back to some liberty. Thank you, guys.
Greg. There are options. all over the place. The only option that I don't want to settle for is giving up our rights. We're here to get our liberty on. Is everybody on board? Get your liberty on. Okay, we have been fortunate enough to have one more candidate that will be on the ballot. He is running for District 6 for the Senate seat. He is a Republican. Austin Bennett. Can I turn the floor over, sir?
All right, thank you. So, does anybody here know me? All right, I thought I'd ask. But you know, I'm glad to be here, and probably as I come out, you know, being a politician or somebody who is running for state senate, and the question is,
back up.
Maybe I better stand back here. Am I a person who's going to represent the voice of the people? And am I really a person who's going to represent the voice of the people? And I can tell you that I have decided to run. I've been in this district for about 21 years. This is my youngest right here, Truman. And, you know, I was minding my own business, fellow American, keeping people aware of what was going on, and just watching this state get destroyed and watching my children's future disappear. And we are definitely in a crisis. And the generations that are coming through school right now, that are being educated through our public schools, they're not even learning civics anymore. I don't believe they understand what the Republic is, what the Constitution is, and what is at risk.
No, they think we're a democracy.
Through the legislation here, there was about 1,000 bills that went through that were unconstitutional. Out of about 4,000 bills that were being written, 1,000 bills were unconstitutional. I mean, think about that. How can we have representatives who are actually having the audacity to write bills that are unconstitutional? And we are living in a time of tyranny in this state, and that is not an exaggeration. And what has to happen is that the people have to stand. And this rally is so important because this is the backbone. This is the backbone of the American people, of we the people. Because if we become unarmed, I mean, the Second Amendment is so that we can hold who accountable? As an armed militia, that we would hold our representatives accountable. We have a rogue government. We have a rogue government, and we have a people who has become complacent. We are allowing the media to misrepresent the truth. And we are allowing ourselves. I'll give you an opportunity to bring up. I'll give you an opportunity. You want to challenge me here? And that's fine. Okay.
I know that you don't harass a single mother that's running for this district too, and you physically harassed her and threatened her, dude. That's bullshit.
I physically, hey, don't walk away. You want, I'm giving you stamp form. You said that I physically harassed her.
Yeah, you did.
When?
She tried to help you with
Okay. All right, let me address that. But that's okay. You know what? This is America. And thank God we've got the First Amendment. And I'm okay for anyone who has anything against me or anybody who wants to question me publicly. I have made my platform open. So I'm going to give you an opportunity, buddy. I'll give you an opportunity, okay? Because you made an accusation and you still haven't said anything to back it up. But I'm going to give you an opportunity after I speak. We the people, we must come together. We must be willing to stand. And we have our only ability right now to communicate the truth is through social media. In so many aspects, even through our telephones. Right now, we have the state senator in this district who is trying to pass a bill that will take that right away. And so that any information, for example, if we want to expose genetically modified organisms which aren't healthy for our bodies. That we have to go through this government's fact checkers. And if it doesn't align, that we're not allowed to report it. We are in a place, we are in a crisis where we are losing. We've already lost in so many aspects our freedom. The idea that we can have planes spraying aerosol in the air with aluminum, with barium. Now they're even including lithium. Lithium is something that's given to people with bipolar disorders, which is meant to placate the people. We are being assaulted. We are being assaulted through our air. We're being assaulted through our water, fluoride in our water. Look up fluoride. Is fluoride, does it have any place being in our water? It doesn't. But who gives permission and who allows it? If you ask any representative, what are those things that are being sprayed in the air? Those aren't clouds. We're told they don't know. Who's giving permission for planes to spray barium, aluminum, lithium into our air? These are toxins and we are being polluted or poisoned. Vaccines, look up the ingredients. I'm asking you, just look up the information for yourself. But we are being systematically poisoned by this government, and that is not an exaggeration. It's not a popular thing to say, but once we recognize that we are being poisoned through the air, that we're being poisoned through our water, through our vaccine, the people must stand. So let me say, someone said I was going to be on the ballot. What happened? Yes, I'm the only Republican who was running in District 6. And I don't want to make this a party thing, a party issue, because we, the people, are divided, and it's been deliberate to keep us divided. But I had all the requirements that I needed to be on the ballot. And the registrar examined. It's their job to make sure there's no copies. I included 3 copies with the signature pages. I have to have 40 signatures in order, qualified signatures, to qualify to be on the ballot. I had more than that. But the registrar, whose job, Heather Diddy said from her mouth, she said, our job is to make sure that signatures are wet. What the registrar did inadvertently is they certified 3 copies. Think about this. This is our registrar where our votes are counted. They examined and certified that 3 copies as originals. Because of that, they violated Elections Code 8067, and they told me to take back the originals, but they had already counted them. I was notified before 5 o'clock. It was impossible for me to get back at 5 o'clock. I came back with the signatures, and the registrar refused to include the names that they had already counted when I was there by 5 o'clock. Took it to court. There was a situation in processing the paperwork, but let me get to this point. The judge was willing to hear my case, and he deferred to the registrar, and he said, are you willing to allow me to hear this candidate's case? And the registrar said no. And think about that. The registrar is supposed to be neutral. Why would the registrar have any interest in trying to keep someone from getting on the ballot? But that's exactly what happened. And so I may not be on the ballot, but if I'm not, I've got a court case Friday. You're welcome to come. It's at 9:30 a.m. On 9th Street at Superior Court. We are going to do a write-in, Austin Bennett write-in. I'm the only person who can contend with Richard Pan, this senator who has written a bill called the Child Bill of Rights. The Child Bill of Rights. Our children have a Bill of Rights, and that is through the Constitution. They don't need to write a new bill, but this state, if this state has its way, it will be raising private school. You have to realize, and I'm going to get done here, that I'm 52 years old. I had about 12 vaccines up. Now, pharma wants our children to have up to 50 by the time they're 5 years old. And I've shared this before. I want to share this point, that a baby does not develop an autoimmune or an immune system until they're about 24 months. And so the idea to vaccinate a child before they're 24 months, I mean, I don't believe in it at all. But to vaccinate before 24 months, there's no scientific reason for it. It doesn't make sense because a baby cannot produce the antibodies that it's supposed to be producing when its immune system is induced. What is happening is that we are under assault, and this government has come against the people, and it's time for the people to stand up. My name is Austin Bennett. I will represent the people. I do want, and I always want to be, and thank you, I want an open forum. I want the person who accused me, he accused me of attacking stuff. No? Okay. I want to respect that. All right.
Thank you for your time. Okay, security. Okay. We are Americans for America. And yes, we are divided right now. That's why you guys are standing out here, because you're not being heard. We're not allowed our liberty. Our freedoms are being taken away. And so how many of you brought your kids? Can I get a show of hands? All right. I want the youngest daughter that was brought, because the state of Jefferson is offering something really cool right now. Who's got a daughter that they brought here today to get her liberty on? Any girls? Well, young lady, they want you to have this beautiful hat that says, "Girls just want to have guns." So there you go. Congratulations for being here.
Very nice.
We've had some exciting stuff happen today, and you guys are really out there in the heat. So I'm going to try to get through these next speakers with some ease, but the best is saved for the last, and we always know that that's what we do.
That's good.
So without further ado, is Chemo McLean ready to come up on stage? He is the founder of WFB, We the People, for the people, and by the people. So give him a hand.
Hi, thank you, everybody. It's been a hell of a day, and I'm really glad to see everybody out here. I got a question. How many fathers we got here? Come on, let's see some hands. Come on. Mothers? Come on. Well, we are starting a limited amount of kids, but the point of the fact is we have a constitutional responsibility to take care of our families. It's that simple. Okay? All due respect to politicians. Thank you. All due respect to the politicians and the people willing to deal with the insanity behind here. And that's what it is. It's just sheer insanity. If anyone wants to question whether I can prove that, I can prove it to you 21 trillion times. It's that simple, okay? I don't have the gumption nor the desire to take that on. But what we can do, all of us, as mothers, fathers, parents, veterans, oath keepers, 3%, all of us, we can take care of our families first. And that's what WFB is all about. We have a simple motto, okay? We all agree to disagree about religion, politics, and sexual preference. Some of the key factors in this create division. Now, for my Patriot brothers out there, we have to keep this in mind when we join our Patriot groups. Everybody else has a difference of opinion, but guess what? We're all worth something. We all have a skill we can contribute to our families, our communities, and everybody else. If we don't look at that first, then all we're gonna do is seek division. It's an easy way out to find what's wrong. It takes a hell of a lot of a big set of to find what's right and make it right. Okay, not many of you know me. I'm Chemo McLean. I have a small page on Facebook. I'm not politically motivated at all. I wrote a little article called Food for Thought. And I'd like to give you guys something here. It's something to think about. I'm just going to keep this real short and sweet because, you know, we all have constitutional responsibilities. So I want to ask you, say this to you, and hopefully this will mean something. I fear no man, but the man that lies down digs not only his grave, digs ours too.
Yeah. Nicely said.
Well, I want to thank you for coming up and volunteering your time to speak to everybody that's here. Every speaker, in case you guys don't know what goes into public speaking, is a lot of thought or forethought on what needs to be said. And I keep using the word liberty. And it's about liberty. It's about our constitutional rights. And it's about how important it is that we hold on to those with some strong endeavors And there are people out there fighting with you guys that are fighting this fight on legal levels and taking it to the streets at the same time. So without further ado, it is my privilege to be able to bring to the stage Calvin Clark. Now, he is with the state of Jefferson, but he also has a tremendous amount of knowledge about the Constitution. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you all. If you want to bring it on in a little closer. I just want you all to think about one thing. We really didn't give a moment of silence or respect to those who have served in our military, those who have fought for freedom, those who love this Constitution that was founded by inspiration. Could we just give just a warm welcome of applause to those guys who gave their lives and fortunes sacred honor? I want to take that back. They didn't give up the sacred honor, did they? They kept their sacred honor. Unlike somebody who was named Barry Soetoro, who said banning guns addresses a fundamental right of all Americans to feel safe.
I don't think so.
Not good. Dianne Feinstein said, we cannot let a majority of people, and that's what it is. It is a majority of, sorry. I get this mixed up. We cannot let a minority of people, and that's what it is. It is a minority of people hold a viewpoint that terrorizes the majority of people. What?
I don't think so.
You know, we the people, as we heard, created this Constitution. They did not create it. It took us to do it. We got our rights from a divine providence. Some people say God specifically, a creator. We got our rights. We created the law. The law we created hired them. Can you hear us now?
If they were in session, they definitely would be.
You know, I grew up in Half Moon Bay, along the coast, and you learn some self-evident truths. Anybody ever learn self-evident truths? Yeah, like when you go out to the edge of the ocean in a rough day and there's an undertow, and as about a 6 or 7 year old kid, I got swept under by this undertow about halfway down the steep bank, almost getting sucked under, and I dug my fingers in and I prayed, and I finally was able to, as the sand eroded under my fingers, I was finally able to fight my way out of that and run back up the steep beach where people have died for years. How many people have died by democide? Anybody have an idea?
Yeah, more than anything else.
According to the historian George Rummel, between the years 1900 and 1999, over 263 million people have been exterminated by their government. Does that alarm us?
It should.
I'm kind of concerned. And what's the process? How many of you would sign the Small Arms Treaty of the United Nations? No, we don't want that. You know, it's interesting that they signed this, and you know, some people don't remember the words, the letters UN. Those letters UN are in communism. We got to remember that. The founders of the UN were communists. The controllers of the UN are thugs and punks throughout the world who create democide among their own people. As a matter of fact, Kofi Annan was responsible for disarming, you know, the Hutu and the Hutu and the Tutsi over there. They disarmed one of those tribes, gave all the weapons to one tribe, and said, "Oh, have a nice day." And what did they do? They went and exterminated. They said, how many people? Anybody know the figure? It was close to 1.2 million. It was between 800,000 and 1.2 million. They didn't know because they dumped all their bodies in the river. They had no idea how many people actually died in that. A lot of them got just thrown down there. If you were to take the amount of people who've been killed by government and put them head to toe in a coffin, you might say, that could extend around the earth, it would go around the earth 8 times. 8 times. That's how many people have been exterminated by government in the last 100 years. That should concern some of us. So we have a thing called the National Guard, and we have a thing called the Constitutional Militia. So who is the National Guard? The few who enlist, isn't it? And who is the Constitutional Militia?
Everybody else.
It's everyone, isn't it? Yeah, let's hear it for the Constitutional Militia. So, the National Guard, where are their arms stored? Does anybody know?
Armory.
In armories, or by the government. But where does the Constitutional Militia store their arms? At home. That's right. Stay out of our home, Sacramento politicians. So who gets deployed abroad? The National Guard. But we don't have to.
That's our job. You know,
we're here to preserve liberty, aren't we? We the people. You know, Nikita Khrushchev came to America, I think it was in 1960, and he told Eisenhower he wanted to see American agriculture, and a lot of people recorded what he said when he took off his shoe, and he pounded it on the pulpit of colleges in our country. He was known to kill 60,000 people in his own country, and he comes here and he's a welcome guest at our universities. What do you think about that?
Bullshit.
Not good.
Can you believe that? A gun-grabbing, murderous combination killer comes over here and he's welcomed, and he said to the Secretary of Agriculture, Benson, he said to Benson, you Americans are so gullible. No, you won't take communism outright, so we'll feed you small doses of socialism, and we'll so weaken your economy that we won't have to fight you. You'll fall like ripened fruit into our hands.
Basically what they're trying to
I don't want to be a ripened fruit. Benson assured him he would do everything in his power. He wrote a book called The Red Carpet, Socialism, the Royal Road to Communism. And for those who know about socialism, we've been paying too much taxes, haven't we?
Oh, hell yeah.
For them to monitor us, for them to overregulate our businesses, for them to force our children to be vaccinated. Not all truth is not of the same value. Some truths are more important than others. If grandma's going to get run over by a bus out there, we're going to run out there and save her, aren't we? So what's the difference between grandma not being able to defend herself at home? Let's restore liberty.
Yeah.
You know, there's 4 key principles of the Constitution. They are delegated powers, which are government power comes from the consent of the governed. Let's take that back. Let's do that. We need to be able to ones who delegate the power from now on.
Yeah, let's start here.
Let's start here.
Absolutely.
We want enumerated powers. We've done our job. The founders never gave up their sacred honor. They wrote the Second Amendment on purpose after looking over all the constitutions, and they figured, you know, we really don't need to put the Second Amendment in every state constitution because it's something that existed long before, through the 1800s and the 1700s, in the battles that they fought. And the 1600s and the 1200s, all the way back. There's so many cases where the people had a divine right for self-preservation. They didn't need to ask government. Separation of powers are divided between 3 branches of government. We remember what they are: legislative, executive, and judicial. We've seen judicial, I was going to say extortion, but it's judicial dictation of the Supreme Court overriding the state Supreme Courts. Why don't we start working on our state? And we can work on our state by taking back our counties and our constitutional counties and having our sheriffs know that he's going to go out there and stop the ATF from arbitrarily disarming people. Sheriff Richard Mack is a friend of mine who went as a BYU officer, pulled over an old lady who said, "Have you ever read the Constitution?" He said, "Well, I don't know." "Well, yeah, I guess so." "Well, you don't seem like you know it." So he went back to Arizona, became the youngest elected sheriff in Arizona, and he sat in a meeting with the sheriffs of all the state, and some branch of the federal government, I don't want to say the ATF, somebody showed up, 3 guys, two stayed in the back, one went up front, and he said, "All you sheriffs, we're going to charge you $1,500 unless you confiscate the weapons on the Brady bill." Then they left together. Sheriff Richard Mack and the rest of them grinned and sighed and said, "This is not going to happen. The federal government is not going to tell us about this Second Amendment right." So what did he do? They all, well, he even said that some people were really cussing up a storm, but anyway, so they went ahead and he got together with some good constitutional patriots. Oh, by the way, that just triggered a list. Somebody, who's got the list? Okay, I mentioned it. You know what? It's funny how you know, people will look at you funny when they don't believe that these things really happen. But anyway, he fought this to the Supreme Court, and he won, and he repealed liberty. There's there's some liberty out there. Okay, so he repealed the Brady bill. He repealed the Brady bill to the Supreme Court. He did a great job. He wrote a book called "From My Cold Dead Hands." It's a great statement. Benjamin Franklin said, "This may be considered as the true palladium of liberty. The right of self-defense is the first law of nature."
Absolutely.
In most governments, it has been the study of rulers to confine this right within the narrowest possible limits. Wherever standing armies are kept up, and when the right of the people to keep and bear arms is under any color or pretext whatsoever prohibited, liberty, if not already annihilated, is on the brink of destruction. Do you feel liberty is on the brink of destruction? We're going to stop that, right?
Absolutely.
The rights of conscience, of bearing arms, of changing the government are declared to be inherent in the people. So are we so financially weak that we can't throw $1 at a good cause? For every $1 we put out exposing the tyranny, it costs them at least $1,000. Did you know that? They have to tell the lie over and over. We just tell the truth once. And the examples in history, if we don't understand history, we're bound to
repeat it.
You know, you all know that no government can exist in peace except where such laws, the written law, the enumerated law, no government can exist in peace except where such laws are framed and held inviolate as will secure to each individual. Each individual, the freedom of conscience, the right and control of property, and the protection of life. No government can exist in peace. No people can exist in peace unless these laws are securely kept sacred, and that's our sacred honor, isn't it? We will defend our families, won't we?
Yes, we will.
There is a couple more things I'd like to say. You know, sometimes you think about who's really in charge, you know? Either your rights come from divine source, or they come from a monkey, perhaps, a corporation, or government. Which do you want? I'd rather have my rights come from a divine source, because they're called inalienable rights. They're non-transferable. You can't transfer inalienable rights under a republic. That's why they use majorities, consensus. That's what the
News cameras
UN
here.
does.
Looks like it says
They go
Fox
out and
40
they
on it.
hire these NGOs. You know what an NGO? Anybody know what an NGO? Non-governmental organization. They hire these folks to go out and measure how many guns are purchased, and they work for the UN. They work for the UN. Now, the Constitution versus the UN. Does anybody have that mixed up? Let's figure this out. Whereas the Constitution is founded upon the ideas of limited governmental power, the United Nations Charter is founded upon the ideas of unlimited governmental power with no meaningful restraints. I would rather have the delegated powers, enumerated powers, and the sacred powers granted. And what does the 10th Amendment do? It secures the rest of our powers by, if they weren't given this authority, they can't take that away either. How are we doing? A few minutes? Okay, so I just want to finish with a couple of comments. Oh, I got a question for somebody. What clause in the Constitution tells us this is a republic? Raise your hand. Who's got that? Who's got that? What clause tells us this is a republic? Article 4, section. Come on, you gotta help me out. Section 4. It's Article 4, Section 4. The Constitution shall guarantee to every state a republican form of government. It shall protect such from invasion. How about this question? Let's see. I know somebody out there.
My guys
you guys are just shy.
I did a presentation earlier Thursday.
How many state senators are there in California? Show a hand. Somebody got a hand?
That's right. You guys are talking.
How many?
Hi. That's for.
How many
I'm actually currently, I've actually been live streaming a lot of this thing up on YouTube, so it'll be available. Because I have a small channel going on up there. A lot of the people who follow me don't necessarily know the organization that you represent. Any chance you'd be interested in going on on the video, kind of a brief explanation, or
Yeah, definitely.
An oligarchy.
That before Avery takes off today.
It's not a republic anymore. The founders wanted one state senator for 6,000 people. So if you wanted to kick him out, you could walk the neighborhood and say, hey, he did this. He's a liar. He's a communist. He's connected with the Council on Foreign Relations and the gun grabbers and the globalists or whatever. You could say your opinion to 6,000 people and change the representative just like that. Did you know New Hampshire has 400 state legislators to 1 million, 1.3 million? We have 120 state legislators to 40 million, just under 40 million. That's called an oligarchy. We want to fix that. How about this one question? Let's see. Has anybody ever met a disabled veteran, seen what they've gone through, know the story, PTSD, etc., shell shock, the struggle that it is to be, go overseas, the families that miss these guys, we have to extend our compassion and love out to these folks and try and set a good example for them. The way we carry our guns should be with honor and respect. We know who the enemies are, don't we? And it's usually not our neighbors. It's not even the drug punks. It's usually the tyrants that have caused the most destruction in history. Thomas Jefferson said, "The sea of liberty is never without waves." There's constantly waves everywhere. So I want to give the State of Jefferson shirt to this person who moved right up here as close as she could. I just want to thank all of you for your time, and believe me, we do need to get involved in our local politics, which means not the party. We should put principle above party, principle above party, principle above party, principle. Did I say party? Yeah. Principle above party. Can we do that? Principle above popularity. We don't care if you're popular. I'm no respecter of persons. And principle above pocketbook. I don't care if you're driving this or that or whatever. We want liberty. Sacred honor means that we put our hearts where the liberty is. And we pledge with them, those who gave it all and those who are giving it all now, with respect to this enduring, eternal vigilance cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Okay, it's getting hot out there, and I know this. And I have one last speaker that is extremely talented, so I am just going to ask you guys to hold on. After that speaker, I want you guys to look at how many people are here today. Give yourselves a pat on the back because you stood up for something. You didn't stand behind that damn computer. You said, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get my liberty on. So you rock. And I want you guys, when this last speaker is done, I want you guys to go and meet each other. Stop the division of what group you belong to. Do not introduce yourself that way. You walk up to somebody and you say, hi, my name is Wendy. I'm so glad you came today. That's what we need to be doing. Need to stand together as one, you guys. United populace is the only thing that establishment fears. And if we can get that through our heads, we can make a dent in the problem that we've got in front of us right now here today. So, without further ado, I have saved for the best for the last. He's going to use his Mexican card, but we're going to let him. The very talented, multilingual David Garcia.
Nice to see some diversity out here in the crowd.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing just fine.
Okay, the fake media is going to portray us as heartless, right? We're not heartless. So just a moment of silence for all the victims of gun violence. Can we just do that? Moment of silence. Okay, thank you. That went out to Florida, all the victims of gun violence, because I know they just think we're heartless. We're just a bunch of thugs. We got AR-15s, which we do. We got a lot of them. But maybe we registered them, maybe we didn't. So anyway, I'm here exercising my First Amendment right.
You don't have any ARs.
Of the vets,
in a boating accident.
of the veterans, which includes my grandfather, Sergeant Alejandro Duarte Jr., World War II in Korea, my uncle, Ignacio Duarte, Normandy, and my uncle, Heriberto, who didn't come back from Nam, Heriberto Blanco. So because of them, I love the vets.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have served. Just a brief history. On my mom's side, they served in the Confederate. They were Mexican Confederates, believe it. They were Mexican Confederates. They fought against the Union. So we were kicking butt. Then the white boys came and said, hey, we're giving up. I said, what are we giving up? The Mexicans are still going. So that's a history. That's a historical fact. All right. It's all right. It's all right. So anyways, on my dad's side, my uncle fought alongside with Pancho Villa. So where I'm going with this is I got rebellion in my blood. On the Garcia and the Duarte side, we didn't lay down to tyranny, you know. Now we got to use our brains. We can't go out there and use our guns. Not yet. I don't know. So anyways, we got to use smarts. We got to use smarts. And I know our so-called legislators, the lightweights, are not here today. So you know what? Like my colleague from Jefferson said, he's screaming, sorry, they're not there. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to let Governor Brown, Mr. Becerra, it's not Becerra, it's Becerra, and Alex Padilla, we got to let them know who we are. So all together for gun rights. You ready? USA! 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 Now, I'm pretty sure they're going to get the message, but they're going to ignore us. But that's just to let them know who we are. Who we are. So I come from the southern part of Jefferson. And I always like to be introduced as the southern part because, like I said, on my mom's side in the Confederacy, the South fought the North. So I take a lot of pride in being from southern Jefferson. So I love my state. We're not going to talk about any politics. We're going to get right to the facts. And I need for all of you to spread these facts. And this is the showstopper. And listen up, Jorge Ramos. Jorge Ramos, you fake Mexican. You're an embarrassment to my race. And yeah, I said it. David Garcia said it. Univision 2, you guys are a bunch of liars. All right. So here we go. Did you know in Mexico, the Mexican Constitution guarantees more rights than ours? The Mexican Constitution is beautiful, and the Mexican Constitution guarantees each citizen up to a 38 special. But you know what? Their Second Amendment has no backbone, so that's why all of their amendments are just kicked to the curb. All right? My wife is from Brazil, and in Brazil, the only place that got the guns are the dudes in the favelas, the drug traffickers. And going back to Mexico, you know how that's working out. There are strict gun laws. So spread that word. Those are actual facts because I've been there and I've seen it. Okay. Now they say England. Oh, England don't have no crime. So what? It's an island, dude. It's easy to protect an island. Japan the same way, but the Yakuza got hella guns, right? The Japanese mafia.
Didn't London murder just exceed
now
New
they
York?
want to talk about
So what does it mean no crime?
Good gun freedom. Switzerland. I just saw things. Switzerland, they got hella guns, dude, and nobody's going crazy over there. So those are facts. Those are facts. Okay, those are written facts, and the fake media will try and mix it up, but those are facts. Okay, now to the people in Florida.
Some of the
people in Florida, excuse me.
People I've ever met.
You know,
so
most of you got high school kids in school, right? So how many times has your kid come home and said, hey, we're selling candy bars for a field trip to down the road?
Oh, yeah.
How many candy bars did they sell to go to Washington, dude? How many kids went? 800,000 kids or whatever it was? I mean, that's a lot of candy bars. I'm being sarcastic. You know where that money came from. So that's just something for you to think about. I grew up in the 1980s. When Top Gun came out, all of my buddies, even though they're white boys, all right, they're still my buddies, we wore shirts that say, kill a commie for mommy. There wasn't no political correctness. All my buddies had gun racks in their pickups. They used to go hunting before school and after school. So there's something wrong with this new generation of Americans, right? Most of them, the new kids. So, I mean, they're eating Tide Pods and snorting condoms. I mean, dude, come on. At least you're going to snort some Coke, man. You know, get something out of it. Get a chick, get a party going on. So anyways, that's my message. And oh, just to let you know how crazy my grandfather was and my uncles, that after Pearl Harbor and they went to war, you know what they did? And there was no political correctness. They got drunk and they made bets, all of my uncles. And they said, who can come home with the most medals? Now that was no political correctness there. They said, we're gonna come back. Who can come back with the most medals? So that's how crazy. So, and like I said, before I go, the media, the Democrats, depict us Mexicans as, we need your help, we don't help, we don't need nothing from you, nothing. I'm a Mexican who speaks 7 languages, and they said, oh, the dreamers. Dude, we don't need no dreamers. We don't need no dreamers. My daughter is 14, she speaks 3 languages. Next year, she signed up for French. Her goal is to speak 4 languages when she graduates. That's the real dreamer.
Very nice. Woo!
Here's another real dreamer. Dr. Martin Luther King was the real dreamer. A real dreamer. He didn't come over here and act all stupid, you know, that's why he killed him. So, like I said, one more time before I go, I had a lot of good ones, but I'm going to keep it short. My wife came in as an illegal from Brazil. So we went to the immigration and we said, this is our story. She came in as an illegal. And immigration says, well, okay, son, well, to do it legally, your wife has to go back to Brazil and come back in the way. And I said, well, I hated it, but I didn't cry. I didn't go like, Ramos, mira lo que me están haciendo, like a wimp. I sucked it up. We cried. We almost got a divorce. We waited 8 years. 8 years. So DACA, listen up. Take a number, get in line. All right?
Absolutely.
All right. Hello? Yeah, this is my state of Jefferson, Southern Jefferson. I love all you guys. We're all Americans. Americans shouldn't be fighting Americans. One voice. God bless our nation.
Woo!
All right, I don't know where to start. Okay, the youngest son. Is there a young son in here? The youngest son?
Yeah, there's some, kids running around.
What about right there? Right there. Right here. Right here.
You got a guy right here?
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Here, son. I like the hat. I got one of them. All right, God bless you. I love you.
That's a bummer.
Thank you, David. Thank you for ending on that high note, because we need to hear from people like that. You guys, we are Americans.
That was awesome.
And we are here for America. So I am so glad that you guys came out, got your liberty on. I'm going to break this off by reminding you that Nikki has asked you guys to go sign that referendum. We are here because the Second Amendment is being threatened. If you can make it over to the booth, get over there, get the information, make sure that a signature gets on a piece of paper. Because we need to start standing and rising. Not just standing, but rise together. So today, at this point, meet your neighbor, make a friend. Make sure you guys stick together, and the next one will come in double the size. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Woo! How's it going?
Glad to see you here. Where'd you come from? Okay. Not much of a journey for you.
Nah, train right away.
You know, seems a little hot with the jacket on.
It is. I regret this decision.
Yeah. Looks good though, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
You know, what's the name? Dave. Dale.
Dale? You?
Spencer.
Spencer. Where'd you come from?
What's up, Brent? Where are you from?
I've heard of it.
One of my relatives lives in Antioch, so I know the place well.
It's a nice place.
You local too?
Unfortunately, I live in Sacramento area now, but I grew up in the mountains.
Ah.
So.
Yeah. Whereabouts specifically?
Calaveras County.
Oh, Calaveras.
Yep.
Yeah. I go shooting up BLM land.
How about a lake?
No, up by, where is it? Arnold.
Oh, a little higher up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right, up by Arnold. That's where I know Buddy and I used to go shooting up in a place called Hunter Dam up not far from Arnold.
Yeah, my place is just above McKay's Dam.
Okay, yeah.
Found a nice little spot. Yeah. It's kind of a sad thing when you have to go to federal land to have a little bit more freedom.
That's for, I actually have a small YouTube channel. I've been live streaming this thing. You guys want to say hi to the group? Sure. I don't know who's all watching, but it'll, once the live stream's killed, it will get posted as a video.
What's the name of the channel?
Calaveras 32 Special, or
I think I might have heard of you.
Yeah, 32 and SPCL for its abbreviation for special.
Right.
Emails it the same if you guys ever have, want to drop me a line, something going on that you think I should be aware of.
Yep.
I participate with a group called gunchannels.com that is, trying to get the word out nationally about everything going on and trying to support each other, this kind of stuff. There's a handful of guys from California. We've got people from, one guy's out of New York. We've got people out of Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Washington State. It's heck, we've got people that participate in it from Austria, Australia.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's an international. Because it's anybody that's pro Second Amendment is more than welcome. So,
Yeah.
well, and we even
Pro gun rights. They don't have a Second Amendment in Australia.
Right, but that's where Vandalisca is our guy down there. He's doing everything he can to try to encourage the rights to come back as much as he can. So that's where it's one of those things that's sort of self-protection, as I'm sure you guys completely agree.
Oh, yeah.
It's a right inherent from from being alive. So don't take away my right, my means to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, every time I think we're fighting a lost cause in California, every time I think we're fighting a lost cause in California, I just remind myself Australia exists.
Yeah, I don't know if I can see you or not in the video.
Any Commonwealth country. Well, we have to keep fighting. But we do.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I know a lot of people have said this, like it was mentioned by Nikki earlier about the people wanting to leave California. I've said it before. The California liberal way or anti-gun way of thinking is a cancer. It will continue to spread if we don't fight, the cancer. And we need people here, boots on the ground, to help with that fight.
Well, once we start losing swing states, the electoral college goes one way.
Oh, that's where, Texas, some of the people out of Texas say that they're, blueberries in the tomato sauce, because that's where Austin and Dallas are both diehard blue cities, and they used to be diehard red, because there's so much movement from the coast into those towns because there was work available. So we got to do what we can to stop that.
Every time I think it's a losing battle here in California, I look at the election map from when Trump took office. Most of the counties, by popular vote, were red, including this one, surprisingly.
Yeah, you could go from, East Coast to West Coast without ever driving through a blue county, because that's how, but there's so much population in those key counties that they swing certain states. California's a perfect example. Sacramento went red, but your cluster around the Bay Area was blue, your Southern California was blue, and that was enough to drag the entire rest of the state with it. So, they were talking about the state of Jefferson. I know there's another one that, supposedly got the signatures to go on the November ballot, potentially split California in 3 states. Whether that's the solution or not, I don't know, but I know if they're doing that, it would help free a lot of those counties into being able to have more say than what we do now. When the California Constitution was first put together, it was set up just like the feds. The House was based on population, the Senate was equal rep. The state had a means of moderating itself. And then through, I think it was through the proposition process, it got changed so both houses are strictly by population. So now they're from Yuba City, which is about an hour north of here. I don't know if either one of you guys know it. All the way to the to the Oregon border only has like 2 representatives for that entire portion of the state. When that's the case, how can they expect to have any kind of say in what goes on?
What the man said earlier, saying that cities make liberals, not liberals make cities. That's relatively true. All the Bay Area cities, San Francisco, Hayward, every single one was a blue state during the election, and it's supposed to be during midterms. And being from those cities, I know it like firsthand. It's a very, very blue
right.
state.
I have extended family that lives down there, and it's just even going through my cousins who have the same age as I am, going through some of the homework assignments and stuff they're being taught and how they're being taught it. It seems like so much of it, unfortunately, isn't being here's the information. Think about it. It's here's what we want you to think, and then here's the information to back that up. And I'm not saying that's not just the city, that's kind of a problem nationally, globally, really. That is really what kind of starts swaying people when they're not given all the information, unfortunately.
They like to spread the slander that normal people can't be trusted with any sort of firearm, especially the assault weapons, the political term mostly. But the thing is, the school I had a similar walkout. This is way before parking lot, a while. For that, but we had a gun club open up next to our school, less than 100 feet. And we walked out, we protested. I did not. I went to the gun club and tried to purchase an AR-15, but it was too expensive. But
I can understand that one.
They were saying you can't be trusted with that. Well, a year after that, I joined the military, and what they have is qualified in the military is the M16A4. It's an actual assault rifle.
Yeah, it's the select fire. That's right. As I understand it, you got safe, semi, and the 3-round burst options.
Yes. And anybody at all, we had 180 recruits on the firing line at once per day, every week. They said we can't be trusted with that. Anybody at any point could have stood up from their firing mats and shot the recruit to the left and the right. They could have shot the range safety officer. It's easy to do it, yes. Like, I'll give them that. It's easy to harm people with weapons like that, but nobody did.
It's a matter of using a tool for what it's intended for, and not using it for things for what it's not intended for. That's the key. Because, like they said, how many people have been killed with hammers? How many people have been killed with cars, your fists, this kind of stuff. It's a matter of when things have been used in an evil way. It's the person, not the object.
Testing,
with
one,
the
two.
intent.
If I could I get everybody's attention? California Valley Patriots would like to make an announcement about an event coming in Modesto on May 12th on McHenry Avenue. We're going to do a constitutional walk where we're going to bring our flags, our signs, and pass out pocket constitutions and try to get awareness for the Constitution. It'll be May 12th at 10 a.m. on the corner of Stanford and McHenry. Anybody's welcome to bring their flags, bring their signs, and participate. And we'd like to extend the invitation for everybody to come down. And I know some people may not be able to make it, but hopefully a few can.
I didn't
Thank you,
catch
guys.
it, Dave. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Well, if people aren't aware of the Constitution, what chance do we have?
Yeah, what chance do we have? When you're, whilst I was in, I was thinking, if you can trust an 18-year-old, some of these guys were 17, they did the early enlistment thing. with a weapon that can switch to 3-round burst. Once they go to the actual like fleet and they get to carry their M249 subs, you can trust them with a machine gun.
Right.
It's 200 rounds. Why can you not trust the common citizen with the same sort of technology, the same weapons, the same capabilities?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. That's right. My theory. No problem. The quote-unquote gun laws. Don't point anything you don't want to destroy, and be aware. Treat it if it's loaded. Be aware what's beyond your target. Those are the 3 gun laws. Everything else is full crap.
Yeah. One more time.
Go ahead. I don't think he did. I'll do it.
What they don't know.
Okay. Wait. 1, 2, 3. That's a really good picture. These are really good.
People don't realize is people in the state and in the whole country are deterrent.
Right.
And people want to commit acts of terror, invasive powers, things like that. You're not gonna try to attack a country that has over 80 million people with armed weapons and firearms. You're not gonna do that. That's logistically stupid. In the Cold War, conventional land invasion could have happened. The Soviet Union had the numbers for it, but we had too many people with too many weapons, and the Hughes Amendment wasn't passed yet. So some guy with a Browning automatic rifle from that to like an M240 could be in his house waiting for some rescue to come up on his shore.
Right.
And anyone who tries to get in your house, you notice when in places with more lax gun laws, crime goes down. No one wants to attempt to break in or attack somebody who's got a rifle in their home. No one.
Right. Sorry, I stepped back a little bit trying to get both of you in the frame.
Coming up behind you. Coming up behind you here. You say that, but I think the problem is just too many people today can't conceive of. Too many people just can't even conceive of, oh, we might be invaded, we might have to defend our country. There you go. Too many people just don't think that you are your own first line of defense. That's just an alien concept to them.
Oh, exactly. That's where I'm working towards getting my concealed carry permit for that exact reason. That's where I'm not a sheepdog. I will never go out looking for that fight. But if that fight finds me, I want to be able to protect myself and my loved ones.
Defense of you, your loved ones, what you're leaving. Yeah, you could have the military protecting you, you could have the National Guard, the state police, but it ultimately falls to the individual. It's the individual's responsibility to keep what he owns, to defend it in any way possible. I'm a firm believer in that. California likes to restrict our means of doing so, but they shouldn't. That's why we're here. We don't want, like Senator DeLeon, I don't know if he's retired or not, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Governor Jerry Brown, to continue to limit, control, and ban our means of protection.
Absolutely.
Well, and even putting aside protection for one moment, we talk a lot about self-defense and for good reason, but it's a hobby too. It's a recreation.
Oh yeah.
We all love to shoot guns and we do it responsibly. And even if we didn't need guns for self-defense, that doesn't mean the government gets to just regulate our hobby out of existence.
Exactly.
If we can own guns responsibly, and the vast majority of gun owners do, then we should get to have guns that we want without undue interference from the people in that building up there.
Oh yeah, agreed.
It's not just the people's defenders who are, like he said, being affected by the law. It's the free gunners, the Olympic shooters, the ISPCA shooters. So many people have this hobby, historians even.
Oh yeah.
Collect their weapons. Like I'm a reenactor. Eventually, one day, they're going to decide to ban muskets. And I need that to reenact.
Right. That's where right now they're focusing on the ARs because it's quote unquote scary looking. People who don't know what it is don't understand it, and that's where the quote unquote military grade. Well, that's where it's complete load of.
It's a load of crap.
Yeah. Thank you. That's where I was going to say that, but I decided to censor.
Remember, your weapon was made by the lowest bidder. Civilian AR-15 is better than military grade.
Yeah, please stop calling my rifle military grade. It's much better than that.
Well, that's kind of I have a 25-45 Sharps built on an AR setup, so that way, because for me, I probably will end up building a 16-inch 223 Wild upper for it eventually, because that's where I went with the slightly larger slugs. That's where I want to use it for varmint, as much coyote, this kind of thing. I wanted a little more mass in that slug going down range for that purpose, because I do primarily hunt. But that's where I do also understand that the 223 will get a job done with the correct placement. But that's just my thing, is it's the matter of as long as you can afford to pay for it yourself, why the hell shouldn't we be able to have it?
Why shouldn't we?
Well, it's a funny thing, too, about the left, is that they say we have the right to an abortion, we have the right to birth control, and unless the taxpayer is subsidizing that, then your rights are being infringed. You know, unless you have a taxpayer-subsidized birth control bill, then your right to birth control is being infringed. So, where's my taxpayer-subsidized AR-15, right?
There you go.
I mean, I suppose you have one if you're serving in the military, but...
Well, that's where, you know, are you still active duty?
No.
Okay, then you know, I imagine you probably don't have the subsidized one anymore, but you did use one for a while.
Having a dialogue with people who don't understand assault weapons.
Yeah. Did you guys want to jump in? You're sitting here listening, so.
But they don't really understand what it is. All the people who vote against it are pretty foreign to the concept of the firearm. And I've had dialogues with people and put a picture of an AR-15, one made by Palmetto Armory, I think, and another M1A. You know, looks like a hunting rifle to most people.
Oh, yeah.
They're shocked to find out they're the exact same thing. The only difference is the M1A shoots a bigger round. It's harder, faster, better penetration.
Right, it's a 308.
But I think it's fine because it's less scary and it's not black. And then you show a picture of that same rifle, but another one that's all tactical with a pistol grip and a top of the stock. And that's an assault weapon. That should be banned. No one should have one of those. It's the same rifle. You can't.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Ruger 1022s when you got it in the Woodstock versus the tactical chassis. You know, people think they're different rifles and they're both, and they're not.
They're surprised to find out that they shoot the same round. And what I've heard some people go to is that, okay, we're disguising guns to look like hunting rifles. So absolutely ridiculous. It's quite dumb. It's funny to watch.
Dumb is pretty much the word that best describes the people driving the gun control movement. I was at the march in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago.
How was it?
That was very discouraging because I tried to have a dialogue with pretty much everyone there. If I saw a sign that was interesting, I'd go up and ask them about it. And the people there just weren't really interested in having any sort of a discussion about gun control. Most people just said, "Oh, you're pro-gun. We don't want to talk to you." Yeah. And the few people who were willing to engage just generally didn't know very much. There were exceptions, of course.
Yeah, that's where they're being fed. I think, it's from what I can see, unfortunately, so much of society and the media and the governments and whatnot, they're trying to take firearms out of the public conscience, of the public knowledge, and people inherently, fear things they don't understand. So by making them this alien object off to the side that only the whack jobs have, they're preventing a lot of people from being able to understand. And once people, if you can get them to understand, if you can teach them so they can understand, it's amazing how many will flip sides and either go from the I don't like them to okay, I understand, I won't try to take them away, but I don't want them, or they'll go all the way over to the I gotta have this, and they become just as much of a nut as the rest. Well, enthusiasts, not nuts a bad way of putting it, but enthusiasts as the rest of us are.
I think we've taken over the term gun nut. We own it now. Gun nut's kind of a point of pride.
Yeah, for me it is.
Enthusiast is definitely the more positive language. But
yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to see if I can go get a quick interview with Nikki over here. So because I know a lot of my followers don't know who the Pink Pistols are, so I figured I'm going to try and introduce them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
They let him up there early on. I don't know if he was pushing out that second.
How's it going? Now, I mentioned earlier that I have the YouTube channel. I was going to try to see if we could get a quick interview with you, so you can explain who the Pink Pistols are.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
When would you might be able to do that one?
Let me just let a few more people we can do it here probably in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my meter to 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Well, luckily it's only 1 now, so 3 o'clock. You still got some time.
Oh well, you don't have to. So does anyone here need to?
I'll sign while I'm over here.
Did you see my speech?
I certainly did. Yeah.
Okay. What I'm looking at. Remember I mentioned about the referendums.
Yeah, I remember the word. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, well, what the referendums do is I want to build a base of people.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to be sending out some emails on this, but what I want to do is I want to build up okay, 2 years ago we tried to shut down the laws through the veto gun mechanism, but we only got 1,500 people in the whole state to step up. We still got 100,000 signatures per referendum. What I want to do is I want to build up a base of about 15 to 20,000 plus over the next 2 months. So that way, when these guys hit the laws, we can have 25 to 50,000 people collecting signatures. So on average, people only have to put maybe 4 hours per referendum.
And what's the reason why we want the referendum?
It'll buy us time. What referendums do is, if we qualify a referendum, it forces the law to be voted on by the people, but they don't vote to November 2020.
Which law are we trying to?
Whatever laws they pass this year.
Any anti-Second Amendment?
Yeah, I want to hit every one of them.
Okay.
And the reason why, we have to rebuild the California gun culture, but if we win by doing a referendum, we're going to wake up a lot of people on our side that they can win.
So you're saying a referendum forces any of these things they do back as a vote, like when you said Prop 8, when it went back to the people?
What would happen is this. Referendums, the beauty of referendums is you win when people vote no. So as the more confusing a law is written, anywhere from 2 to 5% of people will automatically vote no because they don't understand it.
So, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, but it'll also send a shockwave to the legislature that what the people stood up, what California gun owners won. Plus the fact if we do that, I'll be able to go to the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the gun manufacturers, I'll say, we're going on offense. We just bought you 18 months of sales. We need your help here. Don't let us, we will be in the national spotlight, believe me. And then people who haven't been stepping up, you know, it's a momentum thing. We have less than 1% of us stepping up. If we had 5 to 10% of gun owners actually stepping up, not only could we stop gun laws, we could reverse a lot of them. And I'm not looking at defense, I'm looking at going on offense. Those who choose to be against us, they will have an opportunity, unconditional surrender or scorched earth.
That's where with the...
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where with the money, when we would have
Don't
to...
worry about it.
Don't worry about that? Okay.
I'm not, you know what, I don't want to get anybody's money at this time, only because if I only get, if I don't get a lot of people stepping up, I don't want to be dealing with the paperwork and other types of things. I mean, I don't want a few people carrying the load, I don't want one of these things where we have 1,000 people across the state running around, okay? I want us to shame the people around us who should be carrying their load, people who weren't here, but we have, our circuits.
All right. So mostly I just want to find out more about it because I think my involvement will be deeply involved into how much I'm on board with the whole ideas. I still just need to learn more about the referendums, how this works, your ideas.
We won't be able to tell you anything until these guys pass the law. But what a referendum does is, let's say the state passes a law. Let's say we don't like it. So what we do is we file papers with the Secretary of State. From the time the governor signs the law, we have 90 days. Now the reality is the Secretary of State's probably going to jack off and we're going to lose probably about 15 to 20 days. So we're going to have about 70 days to run. Now,
so it's like an emergency response plan.
Exactly.
They pass a law that we don't like. You have an email us, you shoot out to us, we contact people, then we try to get the signatures to get on the ballot so that they vote no, then it overturns what they did.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
But the thing is that we do this. Okay, what we'll do is we'll have a victory. Many people saying, wow, that they were in a coma about gun rights. Well, so...
You need to hire or have him on as a spokesman.
Yeah, it's a very simple concept. We do. That's it. We block them, and then what we do is we mount an offense, hearts and minds campaign, and we start shifting California culture. But if we get 25,000 and people sign up and we qualify, then what we do is everybody loves a winner. So now the people who will stand up and support us, our numbers will swell from 25,000 to probably 50 to 100,000, and then we get growing. And then we just start building a momentum. then I'm in a position I can go to the firearms industry and say, hey, look, this is what we did on our own. If we had some seed money in 2019, we can build a Hearts and Minds campaign, and our campaign is going to be mostly run on. I'm not going to go after. I'm not interested in going after politicians. I'm interested in going in after their donors. I want to cut off their air. I want to cut off their oxygen.
Well, that's how they've been trying to go
That's
after.
what they've been doing to us.
Yeah.
So only my thing is this. Okay, they say we're nonviolence, and I say, well, I'm non-aggression. Okay, if you attack my life, I have no problem with taking you out. And be thankful. I'm going to use our First Amendment rights as much as we can. Okay. And, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Did you sign my thing?
I will.
I need volunteers. I need warriors. And as we win, we'll get momentum. Okay. And because right now we're suffering what I call battered gun owner syndrome. But I promise you, we qualify referendums, especially on every gun law. Okay, that syndrome, that apathy is going to disappear.
Courage is contagious.
Yeah, and then it'll be like, I want to rally here, and the message will be, I'll say, tell the kids to put their fingers in the ears, and because my thing will be, I'll say, hey motherfuckers, look what I got here for you. Eat shit.
Thank you so much for speaking today. I like your fire.
Thank you. You signed, right?
Yeah, I just filled it out.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Likewise.
And we appreciate your fire. That's real.
We need to get our people pumped up because we can win this.
5 for 20.
Okay?
Absolutely can.
We can win. Okay. The only reason we're losing is because we're forfeiting the fight.
For the 2A. He's collecting the information.
I'm not going to be able to volunteer at Lincoln, so I'm going to be...
Wait, you mean I don't get free?
I know, right?
Where's Aaron?
You gotta go to the bathroom.
Well, you know what? What I would like, I just want contact information right now, because what it is that once I'm going to start sending off emails, I don't expect. The reality is, I don't want everyone coming here and spending 100 hours collecting signatures. What I want them to do is, as I explain what I want them to do, I want them to share this with their friends, the delegate. So we get, what I call we leverage out. We get what's called other people's time and efforts. This has got to be the effort of we're going to need to have about 25 to 50,000 people involved in the first phase, because phase 2 is how we're going to change California culture. That's how we're going to really win. I mean, I'm looking at this. This is a 4 to 6 year campaign. We're going to undo 50 years of gun laws in about 5 to 6 years.
Definitely, going to take a lot of work, but it's possible.
You know what? If the load is shared, it's not going to be a lot of work. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, well that's
when you're on offense, okay, and when you're delivering the punches and the blows, okay, okay, it's like, okay, who do we get to beat up today?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's got to be. It's going to be, okay, who do I get to pick up today? Yeah? And when I drop my weight and I get pretty again and stuff, I'll be able to, once I get my weight back down under 190, then I can get back in heels, and and then I can be like a totally 6 foot dumb, who do I get to spank today?
Well, have a good one, brother Scorcher.
What is earmarked for in that general fund?
Okay.
To stop the next
So you want to do your interview?
Yes, ma'am. That's where I'm trying to, I've listened to you speak before, but a lot of my followers haven't heard of your organization. So I was wondering if you might be able to give them an idea as to who you are, what you represent. Because I know the name doesn't really ring for most people. I'm trying to help spread the word.
Okay. Well, the Pink Pistols is an LGBTQ self-defense organization. Organization came to existence around 2000, actually organically spread up on the internet. We've got chapters across the country, and we're running about 1,500, 2,000 members to June of 2016. And we had the Pulse nightclub happen. Our membership shot up like 500% like in 1 month. While we are a strong self-defense organization. We strongly support the Second Amendment. The vast majority, we don't have a political litmus test, but generally I'd probably say that most of my members tend to be of a libertarian mindset, conservative libertarian. We believe in individual rights, individual liberties. I recognize that without a Second Amendment, you don't have a right to life.
Right. Well, I appreciate it. That's right. I don't really have anything off the top I can ask between the, what I've been, recordings. That's where this thing's been going, for about 2 hours now. So that's caught a good portion of your speech, everyone else's, and then what I was listening to here. So I want to say thank you for your time, for explaining your organization. Hopefully we can get you a little more support out there.
Yeah.
You guys deserve it.
Let me close off one thing here, just in case it was missed. Okay. So, regardless, our Second Amendment rights here in California are in serious peril. We're on a cliff. If we do not step up now, this year, next year, any of the Democratic candidates we have are going to sign every gun bill. Okay? If we have Gavin Newsom, not only will he sign the gun bills, he will ask. So, how do we fix things? Well, what I'd like to do initially is this year we need to do the referendums. And I know a lot of people say, oh, referendums are time consuming. Oh, they're expensive. And I say, well, we don't have the courts. We definitely don't have this legislature. Congress is in logjam. So we have to help ourselves. I've been collecting signatures of people here, and over the next 2 months, I'd like to build a base, probably mostly in the Central Valley, of about 25 to 50,000 of us, because we're going to build momentum. I don't want to defend gun rights, okay? We got the NRA, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of California, Firearms Policy Coalition. Good guys, I know them all, love them all. They're on defense. My end game is to start offense. So I want to take the battle to these guys. I want to block what they're doing, and then I want to go on offense. We're going to have to hit California culture. I believe we're losing because California culture changed since the 1980s. But many of the people who came here have never been, they don't understand the gun culture. They only hear one side, the media, the entertainment, our lying police. So we need to do a massive public outreach, and I'm going to be putting together some programs for us to do that. But because my long-term game plan is to change California culture. So when we do the referendums and they come up for vote in November 2020, we will win on the referendums, and we'll keep growing support for the California gun culture, and then at that point we can run through a hard California right to keep and bear arms to the California Constitution, change our Constitution, and then just clean house. I'm going for, my wish is to do scorched earth. Now if someone wants will follow me. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Will follow me. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. I actually know I was able to live stream from my phone, being that I have 100 subs. But hopefully there's some good information there and shows that California is a complete lost cause. All right, guys, this is Calverse 32 Special. Have a wonderful day.